So welcome back to another video here in Pennsylvania, and we're here in northern Lebanon County today, here in southeastern PA, just up from the city of Lebanon itself. But back here is the Blue Mountain, and there's a gap in the mountain here called the Swatara Gap. It's where the Swatara Creek runs through the Union Canal, which we've been filming, and the Swatara State Park is up this way as well. But in this video, we're going to talk about an event that took place back in 1898 when the local community, which would involve the town of Lickdale down that way and Pine Grove on the other side of the mountain, they put quite the patriotic effort forth to support the local troops in this area who were headed out to fight in what was known as the Spanish-American War. And what they did in that effort was they strung a cable from this side of the gap all the way to this side, the mountain over there, and they hung a giant American flag, 30 by 40 foot American flag from that cable. The local railroad ran through this area, and the troops that were headed out to the war would be traveling along this railroad, and the flag was to show the local support for their effort. So first things first, I'm going to drive around a bit and give you a better view of the gap. This isn't really the best view of it as we get out to the main highway. I was trying to find a place to pull over out that way, but it was just, couldn't find a decent place. But driving, we'll be able to see the gap in the mountain up here really well, and you can be able to try to picture a giant American flag strung across. They did achieve that goal, although we'll talk about how long that lasted. I'll probably read a little bit from a book I have back in the Jeep. But then I'm going to head up the side of the mountain here. The one side that's public property, the other side's private property, and we're going to look for the remains of the concrete and the rocks and the iron bolts that were put into the rocks to hold the cable there, and that'll help prove that this story is actually true, because to be honest, it's kind of a forgotten story in this area. Not many people remember it. There's just one account from the 1970s where the newspaper interviewed an older fellow from this area who remembered that, because I remember this 1898. So we'll see what we can find. So let's get this going. All right, so here's a bit of a noisy view of the gap. This is Interstate 81 down here. Right up there is the Swatara Gap. So imagine a huge flag strung all the way across, well, a huge cable strung across with a giant American flag hanging down. And then we'll get some better views of it as we drive up this way. This is Route 72. It goes right through the gap. And then just off to our right is the old rail bed, which would have carried the train and the troops that were headed off to war back in 1898. So the idea, like I said, was that they would see that flag hanging down, in the gap here. That was the way for the community to show their support for what they were doing. Yep, here she is. The Swatara Gap. Alright, I'm going to turn you off. I'm going to take a right here and find a place to park. So here we are in the gap, or just to the north of it. This is actually part of the Appalachian Trail right here. You can right hear the traffic of Interstate 81 off to our left there. We're actually going to be taking the Appalachian Trail up the mountain, the east side, to look for these remains. And I should mention too that this idea is not original to me to film this. Years ago, who knows, maybe 5 years ago, a viewer told me about this, and I just never got to it. A lot of times I have all kinds of places I want to film at, things I want to do, and I kind of forgot about it until I got the one book. I'm doing research for the flood that occurred here in 1862 along the Union Canal, and in that book, guess what it mentions this flag thing. So I was like, oh, and I also remembered that story that fellow told me years ago. I was like, you know what? Let's do that. Let's go look, see if there's any remains. I think he told me that he did find the remains of those footings that held the cable up on this side of the mountain, but never on the other side. And here's where Interstate 81 comes through the gap. You can see the one end of the gap up there, and the other end right through the bridge there. So the Appalachian Trail does, you can see the signs for it right there, goes right up this way under these bridges, and that's where we're headed. Up to the top there somewhere. So we got a mountain to climb, which is okay. It's cold out here today. I think my face is already getting red. And every once in a while someone's like, your face is red. Well, you know what? It's cold and I'm climbing a mountain. It's gonna turn red, folks. That's the way it is. But hopefully climbing this mountain will help us warm up a bit. Get the hands warmed up and all that. And then we'll start looking for these remains of this event from 1898. So I have been up here before, you know, hiking the Appalachian Trail and stuff, but I never actually looked for those footings and things like that. So, all right, let's get warmed up. So at different spots along the way up, I'm gonna stop, take a break, and read you some excerpts from that book I have, which will explain better the purpose of the flag and how they actually achieved their goal of getting it up, and then the somewhat tragic and disappointing end to this story. So this is the book I'll be reading out of. It's called From Lickdale, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, into the Swatara Gap. So it's got a history of Lickdale. You can get it from the Lebanon County Historical Society. And here they have the article on Swatara Gap and the Big Flag. This is a short little section there that I'll read in sections as we head up this mountain. So this is the book I'll be reading out of. It's called From Lickdale, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, into the Swatara Gap. So it's got a history of Lickdale. You can get it from the Lebanon County Historical Society. And here they have the article on Swatara Gap and the Big Flag. This is a short little section there that I'll read in sections as we head up this mountain. So like I said, I'll read bits of this as we make our way up to the top of the mountain, and then we'll start looking for the remnants of those pads or those eye bolts or iron bolts that should be up there somewhere that held the cable that went across the gap here. Alright, in 1898, the people of Pine Grove wanted to show their support for their hometown National Guard soldiers, Company G, 4th Regiment of the Pennsylvania Militia. This was the first unit to answer the call of President McKinley's declaration of war and Pennsylvania Governor Daniel Hastings' call for volunteer soldiers. Whether it was a patriotic send-off for the troops being transported to Mount Gretna, PA, is in support of the Spanish-American War in Cuba, or a welcome home celebration, history has not recorded. So yes, I guess I forgot to mention that. They're not sure if this was in support of their heading off to the war, or if this was in support of them coming home from the war, because there's really not much written about this event. Yeah, but it did take place as remembered by an old Lickdale resident, Harvey Bone, born 1887, died in 1978. In a Patriot News article dated September 25th, 1977, so a year before he passed away, Mr. Bone's recollection was scant, but he remembered being there to watch it go up and coming down. Yes, that fella was only about 11 years old then when this event took place, if he was born in 1887. This might explain why his memory was a bit scant. But it points out the fact too that I don't think there's a whole lot written or recorded about this event. So that's why there's not much known about it. But that's why we make videos of it then. So things like this are not forgotten. Alright, I'll read a little bit more to you when I take another little break and up this mountain. Phew, but definitely gaining some elevation. Not too far from the top here. We're kind of in the steepest section here. Alright, so time for another break and time for another reading. Alright, so Pine Grove citizens, along with local assistants, decided to make a 30 by 40 foot American flag and hang it across the Swatara Gap. The Lebanon and Tremont branch of the Reading Railroad supplied transportation for the troops. The Swatara Gap was chosen as the site where this huge flag would fly above the waters of the Swatara Creek to honor those troops. Local coal miners, along with the Pine Grove Lodge, Patriotic Orders, Sons of America, volunteered their skills, horses, and mules to haul a 5/8 inch steel cable up both sides of the gap across the railroad tracks into Swatara Creek. The cable ends were fastened to bolts embedded in concrete pads and rocks. So that's what we're looking for up here, is those concrete pads and rocks with the bolts fastened into them. Rings were fitted through the grommets on the flag. The handmade 39-star American flag was pulled to the center of the Swatara Gap, where it waved for several hours. So that must have been quite the sight, though, to see that huge flag, you know, waving in the wind right in the middle of that gap. Speaking of which, you can kind of see it here again. Over there is the other side of it, that mountain there, coming across. So we're making our way up to the peak right there. The Appalachian Trail will take us right there. I think the steepest part is over, except for maybe one little section up here yet. If I remember correctly, there is a bit of a lookout up here. I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen any remnants of those concrete pads or bolts or anything up here. At least I've been up here before, several times at least. Let's see one of the campsites here for the Appalachian Trail. And we're not done with the story yet. There's one little short section to read about yet, where things didn't go all that great. But we'll save that for the top, I believe. And it may be one of the reasons why there isn't much written about this event, because of how it ended. Alright, so I'll turn you on as we crest to the top here. Phew. Yeah. So down there's Interstate 81 again. Down that way is that one bridge we were standing on earlier in the video. And there's the other side of the gap. You can see that mountain over there. So somewhere, sorry, I gotta catch my breath here, but there should be rains of those pads and those bolts up here somewhere, maybe up this way. Alright, so time to finish this story. Just a few more sentences. I'll talk about the ending. So there it waved for several hours, just where we ended. Eventually, the tattered lower edges of the flag, evidence of the strong wind, proved to be too much for it. Then the cable snapped, sending the flag into the Swatara Creek below. Within hours, the train was due to cross the tracks, and the men had to act fast to remove the cable, which was completed before its arrival. So for all their effort into putting that flag up, you know, stringing it across the gap here, it only stood there, or waved there, for several hours. I guess there's a strong wind blowing through the gap. It doesn't even have to be a particularly windy day, but wind always blows faster through a gap in a mountain. And as I said, the lower end of the flag became tattered, and then the cable snapped, and it landed right on the railroad tracks where the train carrying the troops is going to pass. So they had to get the cable off the tracks in time, which they did. But I get the idea that the troops never got the chance to see the flag then. That's the train that they were waiting for to come. You know, they never saw the flag. So they got it up. It's a cool idea, actually, but then just kind of ended, you know, not terribly tragically, but not as people intended. But I believe they get an A+ for their efforts, though. It would have been an amazing thing to see. Even something even more amazing to try and repeat, have something cross you like that. All right, let's quit yapping. Let's see what we can find up here. So once again, there's looking down at Interstate 81, the south side of the gap. There's the other side over there. So I'm pretty sure what we're looking for is going down this way, where the edge kind of juts out a little more and then drops down. I doubt it's going to be up this way. The Appalachian Trail continues up this way, and you do gain just a little bit more elevation up this way, but it's not steep enough really to run the cable up that way. Although maybe I should just double check up that way, but I think, maybe I will in a moment, but we're going to concentrate on our efforts on going down this way, like the point of the gap here. So nothing so far. We're not at a real steep section yet. I get the feeling where it drops off a little bit more up here is where it'll be. But I'm trying to stay in line with the other side there because it'll be strung right across. As you can see, there's no trail or anything here, at least in this area, but I keep making my way down. Like I said, that one person that messaged me years ago, I'm pretty sure he said he did find remnants of it up here. And I believe it was on this side. So I think he was asking me if I ever saw anything on that side. So it gives me hope, but as you can see, it is quite overgrown and rugged up here, so we'll see. And as I'm searching here, one idea just kind of came into my mind, or one thought. You know, whatever happened to the flag? It was a homemade, huge homemade flag, 30 by 40 foot. I know it got tattered a little bit and fell into the creek, but I can't imagine that they would have just gotten rid of it. You know, I wonder if it got just folded up and stored somewhere. Is it in someone's attic somewhere or something like that? Or who knows? Where is it? What did they do with it after they recovered it? It's kind of also curious about that. That would be amazing to find. So it's been pretty slow going coming down through here. There's quite a drop off right here. So I'd imagine a place like this is where, somewhere down here is where they would, anchor this end off as it goes across. And make my way down through this stuff. I just don't, just trying to figure out the lay of the land here, but so we'll see what's down this way. Or maybe a little bit further down this way, I think there's a little bit of a nose that sticks out, so we'll just keep looking. So I'm starting to lose hope a little bit. We still have a ways to go to get down there yet. We're still pretty high up, but we have come down quite a ways through all this. So, and who knows, maybe I passed something along the way down here, but we'll keep exploring. Just trying to picture in my head how far they would have come up, just string it across. Initially, you're thinking way up top to way up top behind me, but that is probably too long, too high. So it makes sense. Maybe it's a little bit more further down. We'll see. Keep our eyes open. So I was coming down the mountain over there a little ways more, and I looked over here. I spied some larger rocks. These are the largest ones I've seen coming down this whole side of the mountain. There's an interesting one up there too. Almost look like a nice rock to wrap a cable around, but I don't see any signs of anything there. I was hoping to find some like huge, iron eye bolts sticking out of here. But anyway, guess this is not what we're looking for, but make some good anchor points though. There's some rather large rocks here that look like good spots to anchor a cable to. But I'm not seeing anything. Of course, maybe there's nothing left as far as the anchor bolts go, if I could talk. Making our way quite a bit lower down though. Alright, I'm gonna keep looking. I'm gonna keep going down this way a little bit more, and then we can start going heading back that way. But I mean, I don't know. This all seems like the perfect spot right here. Yeah, even on this rock over here, kind of got my hopes up. It looked like little holes in the rock for bolts or something, but I think they might just be natural holes though. So I feel like that rock down there, that area down there is my last hope. We'll see. So we're down by that last big rock. We gotta watch out. I got trees like this that are trying to kill me. Check out the thorns on there. I gotta get past this. Okay, so not seeing anything at this rock, like holes or like bolts sticking out. It's a pretty big rock though, but I don't know, we might be a little bit too far at this end of the gap. We'll see, but we're getting down pretty low though too, so I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe I'll just keep making my way down and start heading that way. I mean, we'll keep searching. I mean, I have to get back to where I parked anyway, so means going down and that way. So I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any, and there might not be anything left up here. You know, I think the article said they use concrete and rocks or concrete pads. So who knows? So maybe we'll head down a little bit more. I'm trying to think. The flag was what, 40 by 30, so probably 40 feet long, 30 feet high. So and it'd be high enough above the train track so it wouldn't hit the train, wouldn't hit it. So, but I think we're cutting it close. But let's keep going down. Although I'm getting slightly tired of scrambling around the rocks too. But let's keep going. Well, we are down off the mountain. I did mostly you can see my trail. Did mostly a butt slide coming down this way. But yeah, there's the other side. We're probably a little bit too far this way in the gap. But man, it is rugged territory up there. But we gave it a try. You know, maybe I was looking for the wrong thing. I was kind of looking for rock outcrops, but I guess I remember reading it did say they put like a concrete pad, so maybe I should have been looking for more flat areas up there. Anyway, I'm not going back up there anytime soon, to be honest with you. Let me turn you around. Just walking through the gap again. This is once again where the flag would have been hung. Yeah, so probably right where the modern interstate is, if the railroad tracks were over there. You know, that cable would have strung across here, that flag hanging down. Like I said, we're probably a little bit too far this way. We should have explored maybe more up that way, but anyway, gonna let that go for now. But hey, if you know where that location is and you want to share that with us down below in the comments, by all means, go ahead and do so. Like I said, for now, I don't think I'm going to go exploring for it anytime soon again. But we got to tell a story, a piece of history that's kind of been forgotten. Kind of what I like doing. Alright folks, I think that'll be it for this adventure. Just got a little walk back to where I left Naomi. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.